Hi everyone, welcome back to Becky's Kitchen Recipe. Today we are preparing okra soup Fetri Detsi. So join me in the kitchen. So here I have my okra. I've already cut it, but I left some of the okras to show you how I cut it. I have dry salted shrimp that I'm going to use to prepare the soup. Mostly we use momoni or kobe dry salted fish. So I'm going to use the shrimp. And I also have cut mushrooms, my air fryer mackerel fish that I've already removed the bones, but I left one to show. I'll put the link in the description box on how to make the air fry mackerel fish. I have anise, cloves, and a star anise. I have a spinach to add to the okra. I'm going to wash it with salt. I'll show you how I wash it. This is bicarbonate of soda, also known as kale. I also have my spices, habanero pepper, onions, garlic, ginger, and then jalapeno pepper. I'm going to blend half of the onions, ginger, garlic to season my meat. I have pepper, eggplants. I've already cut it. I'm going to wash it to remove some of the seed from it. This is my cooking palm oil. You can use any palm oil that you have. The palm oil is extracted from palm nuts or palm fruits. So this is the picture of the palm fruits. I also have tin tomatoes that I'm going to use and a salt. Because I'm using beef and then shrimp, I'm using shrimp seasoning and then beef seasoning to season my meat. So I'm going to use half of the Goya beef seasoning to season the beef and then one of the shrimp seasoning to season the beef and the shrimp. So here I'm adding my seasonings to the meat and the beef. Any seasonings you have is good. And after, I'm going to add my blended ginger, garlic, onions to the meat and then beef, to the meat and the shrimp. After adding it, mix everything well. I'm going to switch my pot to a smaller size. After mixing it, cover it and set your fire. So this is how I cut the okra into a tiny pieces. You can also use a grater to cut your okra, or you can even cut it on a chopping board. Be careful when using the knife. This is how I wash my spinach. I add warm water and a handful of salt and then wash it. Wash it very well and let it soak in the salt water for 5 minutes. And after, you drain off your water and then with a strainer and add a new water to rinse the excess salt from the spinach. This is Becky's Kitchen Recipe. If you are first on this channel, please remember to subscribe to my channel. If you are also a returning viewer who have not already subscribed to my channel, please remember to subscribe to my channel. And this will help me upload new recipe every week. Thank you so much. Also, this is how I wash my pepper spinach. I add warm water. Wash it by rubbing my hands on it to take out the excess seeds from it. So after washing it, this is the amount of seeds that came out from the eggplant. You can also use white eggplant, yellow eggplant, but I'm using the purple one. Whichever eggplant you use is okay. And this is the second wash. The spinach, eggplants, and then the mushroom is also optional. This is how the eggplant is after washing. So now I'm going to show you how to cut the spinach. You hold them very tight together and then you cut it into a tiny or smaller pieces. You can also cut it big if you want it chunky in the stew. In the soup, you can cut it big. After cutting it, I'm going to add it to my okra. Add everything to the okra. Add my onions, my sliced onions. After adding the onions, I'm going to add my bicarbonate of soda, also known as KU. You can also add either one is okay. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the bicarbonate of soda and then salt. And 1 teaspoon of salt to my spinach and the okra. After adding it, I'll add 2 cups of water. Don't add a lot of water, just 2 cups is fine depending on the quantity of the okra that you're cooking. Just 2 cups or 1 cup. After adding the water, you stir everything and then put the fire on high to cook it. Whilst cooking, you stir it. My okra is done cooking. I'm going to go ahead and then check on my meat and the shrimp. It's also cooking well. I'm going to let it cook for another 5 minutes. Because I want it to be soft, I'm going to cook it for 5 more minutes. Now my meat and the shrimp is well done. I'm going to turn off the fire and show you how I do the mackerel fish. So this is how I remove the skin of the mackerel fish. You peel by peeling the skin off the mackerel fish, and after there is a bones inside the mackerel fish, I'm going to open it up and then remove the bones. Every tiny bones in it, I will remove it. Especially if you have the little ones in the house, you don't want them to get choked on the bones. So make sure you remove the bones from the fish. You can also put everything, you can also put it like this in the soup or cut it into a tiny piece. This is Becky's kitchen recipe. If you like my video, my channel, please remember to subscribe. Share my recipe with friends and family. Subscribe, comment, and like. Now we are getting into the business. I'm going to add oil, the palm oil, into my cooking pots and then sauteing my beef and the shrimp in the oil for 5 minutes or until lightly golden brown. So after sauteing my shrimp and the beef, I'm going to add my dry sauteed shrimp and also let it saute in the oil for 5 minutes to add some flavor to the oil. After sauteing all of that, I'm going to add my tomato paste and my blended tomatoes, onion, ginger, garlic, and the habanero peppers to it, and then let it cook for 10 minutes. And I'll add my eggplants, the eggplant, the mushrooms, and then stir everything together. I'm also going to add my shrimp Maggi cube or the seasoning and then mix everything up together and let it cook. So now I'm going to add some water to loosen up the stew. So I'm using the beef and the shrimp stock. I'm going to add some to the stew to loosen the stew up, and after I will mix everything together. And also at this point, my mackerel fish, I'm not going to add it to the stew at this point. I'm going to wait when the stew is cooking for maybe 10 minutes, then I'll add it. So now I'm going to cover my stew to cook for 10 minutes. And to boost the flavor of your okra soup or okra stew, this is one of the ingredients, the best ingredients that you can use to boost the flavor of your okra soup or stew. And it is called Negro Pepper, Huintia or Echo in Ewe or Uda. You can also add this. I'm going to crush it. By crushing it, it's going to add more flavor to the soup or the stew. So I'm going to add it to the soup and then stir everything together. This is the secret. That's the ingredient to boost the flavor of your okra soup. So after adding the Negro pepper, I'm going to add my mackerel fish to the stew and then mix everything together and cover it and let it cook on medium heat for 10 minutes. If you are new to my channel, this is Becky's Kitchen Recipe. Please like my video, share, comment. Thank you all. I'm going to cover the stew to cook on a medium heat. Now my stew, I'm checking on how the stew is cooking. Wow, this smells so good. The aroma of the spices, the Negro pepper, is very welcoming. So now I'm going to stir my stew. It's done. I'm going to stir it and then add my okra. The mackerel fish is still tight in the soup, in the stew. I'm going to beat up the okra with my spatula or this with my spoon. I'm just doing this to thicken it up or to wake it up before adding it to my stew. You see how slimy the okra is? So now I'm going to add it to the stew. Just look at this. Very slimy. I'm adding it to the stew, and after I will mix everything together very gently in a way that the mackerel fish will not mash up in the soup or the stew. So I'm going to do it very lightly. After stirring it up, I'm going to let it simmer for 5 minutes and then our soup is ready. If you remember my previous video or the last video that I did, I prepared banku. So I'm going to pair this soup with my banku or the akle. Yes, I'm going to pair it with it and also show people who doesn't know how to eat it with the banku how to eat it with. So now our soup is done. I'm adding the okra to my banku. This looks so delicious and yummy. Yes, we eat this with our hands. You cut your banku and you create a tiny hole in between or inside the banku, and then you scoop the soup with it. So I'm showing you how to eat this. Those who doesn't know how to eat it, I'm just showing you. This is so delicious, yummy. If you like this recipe, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also don't forget to try this. I'm going to put the recipe of how I make the banku into the description box. Try this recipe, you will like it. Thank you so much, my beautiful viewers, for watching Becky's kitchen recipe. Please share my video to friends and family. See you next time in my next video. Thank you so much. God bless you all.